Okay. Thank you very much, Secretariat. We will present in the value chains for dairy, beef, and hide skins in Zambia, viewed through the CBPP lens. Next slide, please. Our presentation outlines the beef value chain, the dairy value chain, hide and skin value chain. We'll present them separately. So we'll look at that in this presentation. It's not a very long presentation, though. You can go to the next slide, please. Now, the beef production in Zambia is affected by CBPP, which affects the small-scale producers. Now, when we say it affects CBP, this is in the most major areas where this is in the West, where really beef production is characterized by smallholder farmers. They are the main producers of the beef, and as a result, it has got poor low carcass weights, usually between 100 and 150 kgs. It's also characterized by long calving intervals, delayed age to calving, and high mortalities. This actually is very obvious when you look at the population growth in the CBP affected areas, where initially prior to the CBP outbreak in 1997, 1998, the cattle population in this affected province was around about 720,000, around there. And this population reduced to about 320 by 2003, 2004. To date, this has just grown to about 480,000 cattle. So you can see that really the growth of the population after the CBPP has not really been that good. It looks like really it has been a straight line without any noticeable growth. So marketing is done by the individual farmers to traders. There are three levels of marketing that happen there, where the owners of the animals might sell to the traders. They might also sell directly to the abattoir operators.
Doctor, wait a second. Yeah. Could you please see if your slide is correctly shown? Is this okay?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is for now. Yeah. Now, no live cattle is permitted to leave CBP-affected areas, and as such, farmers not have opportunity to bargain for better prices from these areas. Next slide, please. So beef processing is done mainly by abattoirs operating the respective districts within the CBP-affected areas. These are the ones that will buy the beef and process, and basically the major output from these fall in the standard commercial grades for the beef. Now, the retailing of beef from the affected areas is done through butcheries and supermarkets. What you should understand is that where this CBPP is, it was one of the highest cattle producing areas of the country prior to the CBPP outbreak. And the beef from there usually is transported out of these areas to the rest of the country for sale in the high income bracket areas, and also consumption at the local level is not very high because of the economic disparities that exist where the CBPP infections are. Next slide, please. The next slide, yeah. Now, I was coming to the dairy production. In the CBPP infected areas, there's very little dairy production that occurs in there. And they are characterized by low milk yields, usually 2 to 4 liters per cow, and the same attributes that are seen in the beef dairy chain of long calving intervals, delayed aging and also high mortalities. Milk is produced by the individual farmers in the local markets in these CBPP areas. There are no big dairy farms in these areas. The major dairy farms are located along the line of rail where we do not have CBPP, and basically the marketing system in the CBPP areas for dairy is very poor, and there are no commercial uptakers in these areas. Next slide, please. So as I was saying, there were no processors in these areas where there's CBPP. However, we do have processors along the line of rail, and that's where mostly dairy production is encouraged. Consumption of milk is at individual household level, and the usually the sale is just at local level, which is usually very subdued and not as at the commercial level. We have seen actually from the experience that we've had that the dairy industry in these areas, the dairy animals, the improved dairy breeds do not survive. In about 2017, they had taken some animals to try and improve the dairy breeds, the dairy sector in these areas, but most of them died from CBPP. They could not survive the CBPP scourge. The next slide, please. Now, equally, the hides and skin value chain from these CBPP-affected areas is not well developed. Some of the factors that are attributed to this is because of the branding with hot ions, because you see, branding has been one of the key identification marks that we've been using to identify animals from the CBP infected zones. Also, the ectoparasite infestation that really destroys most of the hides in these areas. And also we have a lot of traditional practices that involve, if an animal has, say, an ocular problem, they would go and use hot ions to try and to try and cure these using these traditional practices that they've been practicing in these areas for quite a long time. So these really, the hides are really not of high value. And to make matters worse, the hides from CBP infected areas are not paid for by the uptakers of the beef, and usually they are not. When they are processed, they are processed as a byproduct by these facilities, and they will market them using their own systems and marketed to their own markets. Now, one would ask a question that maybe I've seen already, that why branding is the main thing, why not ear tags? Indeed, this has been a problem that we're trying to now move away from, and starting this year, we're moving away from the branding system to introduce the electronic ear tagging system, and we hope that that will improve the situation and also to lead to improved hides. In the other areas of the country, the hides are well marketed. They quite go for a high premium, and actually we do export some of these hides to mostly the East African region and some to West Africa. Actually, there's some hides that we've given permits to export to some West African countries. Is the next slide? Basically, that's the information we wanted to share with this meeting. Thank you very much.